So why does a man keep coming back into your life even if he really doesn't want commitment? Well, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 17 reasons why that happens. And you know why I'm creating this video? Because I have been a little bit sick myself, and I've been in my house, and I want to make this video for all of you beautiful ladies because I want you to stop inviting these men into your life. I want you to be sick and tired of these men, just like I have my cold right now. So the reason number one is that the reason why he comes back into your life is because he can. If he is able to come in and out of your life as he willy-nilly pleases, then guess what? He's going to do that because he knows that if he decides to explore other women, go on other dates, you're going to always be there for you. Then guess what? He's going to do that. People only value what it is that they need, that they actually work for. Number two is that he doesn't actually know what it is that he wants. Maybe he's divorced. Maybe he's got a bunch of kids. Maybe he's got a lot going on in his life, but he just isn't at that stage in his life where he knows what he wants. Guess what? He's going to continue playing you. I've been in that stage of my life. I get that. Being in my 20s where I just didn't know what I wanted. Actually, I kind of knew what I wanted. I didn't want a girlfriend. I didn't want a wife. And I remember the moment when I started to realize, you know what, this whole like being single thing isn't what I cracked up to be. That's when actually I started to show up for women. And it was very clear when I started to do that. And if you were dating me back then, God help you, then you would probably realize pretty quickly that, you know what, this Adam guy is actually showing up and he seems to actually know what he wants. And until that point in time, heck no, you would not have been a part of that. So that's a really, really important point. Number three is that he's just not ready to commit. Now, different people's timelines are very different when it comes to dating. Maybe yours is sooner than his. Some guys just want to kind of date and get to know each other over like a 2 or 3 month period or a 6 month or a 9 month or a 12 month or a 4 year period. And maybe you're like, hey, you know what? I got to get things going here because I'm ready to have kids. I'm ready to start a life. If he's not ready to commit, he's not in the right time frame as you, then guess what? You need to meet the right person at the right time for them. Number four is that this man has attachment issues. I can't get into different attachment styles in this video because there's a lot to go into, but at the end of the day, our attachment style comes from our relationship with our parents. And let's say he has an anxious or an avoidant attachment style, and you're perhaps a secure attachment style or whatever it is, it's going to be really challenging for you to develop a long-term relationship, especially if he's not leaning in and actually working on that. If he has an avoidant attachment style, which by the way, men tend to have more of an avoidant attachment style than women, statistically speaking, more men are avoidant than women, then guess what? He's going to pull away naturally all the time. Number five, and this is kind of a harsh one, but I gotta say it to all you ladies because I want to set you free so you don't have to deal with these types of guys, and that is that he doesn't like you enough to consider you for a relationship with you. Now, this doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. This doesn't mean that there's anything inherently bad that you can't give him in the relationship. It's just that for whatever reason, you're just not jiving. You're just not working. And that happens all of the time in relationships. And what tends to happen is I see this all the time with our clients at Love Strategies is that because someone doesn't like us, we lean in even further. And I want you to realize that if someone doesn't like you enough to consider a relationship with you, then deeply, deeply that is their problem, not yours. And they have just made the biggest mistake of their freaking lives. And when you can suddenly have that mindset, that is a mindset shift. It suddenly sets you free. No longer do you need to deal with these types of people who come in and out of your life and are pulling away and playing that hot and cold game. No. That doesn't happen when we follow the little love steps and we follow this process. Number six is that he keeps coming back because he is only attracted to you. And maybe it's just a physical thing. Maybe he's only physically attracted to you, but he's not catching that emotional connection, that emotional attraction. He's not getting that intellectual need that he needs or that whatever it is. It's not about, you could be just as smart as him or much smarter than him. It doesn't matter, not just intellectual, all kind of emotional connections. But if it's just a physical need, then at the end of the day, He is going to lean in, get his needs done, and then he's going to pull back. And then he's going to try to date. And then he's going to text you and then say, you know what? I want to see you again. And come back and forth, back and forth. And we don't need that in our lives. No, 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 no. Number 7, and this is such an important one, is that he doesn't want anyone else to have you. He is a selfish man. He is a selfish person because he's the type of guy who will walk away from the situation, and at the time, maybe he's not interested in anything, but then he'll get that kind of spidey sense that says, ooh, I'm going to lose her to someone else. And maybe he gets that sense that you're with someone else, or that you're starting to dating, or that you're starting to move on. Have you ever noticed that your exes, it's that very moment where you're finally like, I'm finally free of my exes. That very moment that they come back into your life and make your life miserable again. It's because they don't want you to be with anyone else but them, even though they don't want you. But we don't have time for that. No one's got time for that. And I had a client the other day when she joined our Love Accelerator program. It was literally the day that she joined Love Accelerator, our coaching program. Her ex started reaching out to her, wanting to bring him back into his life. And I explained to her that this is actually a very normal phenomenon when it comes to Love Accelerator and our clients, because these guys just have that spidey sense that, oh my God, it's just like it's ingrained in us that the moment we're about to lose a woman, even if we weren't interested in something, we want to bring her back into our misery. All right. So we're not going to have any of that stuff. Number 8 is that he wants validation. There's some guys out there who will go date around. They'll pull away from one woman and be like, I'm not interested. I'm going to go explore other women. But then they don't get their needs met. They're not getting the attention that they need. They're not getting that validation. We're not going to give a man validation if he is not giving it to you. Number 9 is that he is just lonely. Look, the sad reality is that we live and die by our phones. And whether or not we are talking to people and texting with someone, if we feel lonely for even 4 seconds these days, we are starting to text other people that maybe we know we shouldn't be texting. All right. And if you're finding that he's hitting you up out of nowhere, he's starting to reach out out of nowhere, no, we are going to stay disciplined throughout this process and not give in. Just because he's lonely and wants to get his emotional needs met, we're not going to be giving into that. Okay. This is something that so many people fall into this trap of giving someone the girlfriend experience because the guy is lonely. All right. You're going to go over there, tell him everything's okay. You're going to be there with him. And all you're doing is just giving him that fulfillment without any promise of a relationship or a real connection. And no, that's not really happening. Another major reason why a man will come back into your life, keep coming back over and over and over again, is because he's selfish. And he might not even know he's selfish. I did this once. I'll be honest with you. There was once a woman in my 20s. If I could go back in my 20s and smack that guy back up in his face and be like, dude, grow up a little bit, I would, but I can't. So all I can do is help all of you ladies avoid that type of guy. And what I'll tell you is that was a very selfish time in my life when I legitimately didn't take into account other people's emotions or feelings because I didn't quite understand the depth of them. And it probably wasn't until I started, frankly, coaching women about 10 years ago and helping women where I realized the impact that it had. And a lot of these guys might not understand how selfish they're being by trying to rope you back in. We call them ropers, by the way, and that's an acronym. I won't get into that right now. We call them ropers, and they are going to just rope you in, drag you into their life, and just because they are so lonely and so sad. And we're not going to deal with anything like that. Number 11 is all he wants is to go in the bedroom. Some women, because you're looking for validation, I get that. If a guy is making advances in the bedroom, we take this as he likes me, or he loves me, or he's interested in something. And I'm here to remind you of this really painful reality, that is that just because a man is pursuing you in the bedroom does not mean that he's actually falling in love with you. Number 12 is because he is I don't love this word, but I'm going to say it. It's because he's kind of a player. he does this very regularly. And this is like kind of a part of his pattern. He's looking for women that he can bring in and out of his life. And he might be talking to as many as 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 women at the same time and seeing who he can bring back into his life, who's in a vulnerable state. And when you're following the little love steps and following this process and following all the strategies that we teach, nope, we're not going to be dealing with that type of person. Hell no. All right. I don't know why I'm starting to talk like this. Maybe it's because I'm sick right now. I've had a little too much Mucinex. But 13 is that you are a welcome distraction. You are distracting him from the misery that is his life. And there are some people who bounce in and out of relationships, in and out of connections, and their sole purpose is to just feel happy again. All they're trying to do is just feel fulfilled. And they bring you back into their life because they're distracting themselves from the misery that is their everyday life. And once again, as we dive into a real strategy to attracting long-lasting love, and I'm not talking about just a boyfriend. I'm not talking about just a guy that you can date for the next couple months, couple years. I'm talking about 20, 30 years down the line. We're not looking for a guy who's just using you as a distraction. We're looking for a man who's going to step up, who's going to actually invest his energy in you and actually make it happen. Number 14 is that he keeps coming back because he just broke up with someone. Maybe he just got out of a relationship. He still has feelings for her, but he wants to move on. Maybe she broke up with him. Maybe he's just completely conflicted and doesn't know what to do. Regardless, we're going to say that magical 4-letter word, which is next, and we're not going to deal with a guy who is not yet ready for someone new, who's still hooked on someone else. And we've all dealt with a situation where someone is just, regardless of how great they are, we can't invest our emotional energy into that person. Number 15 is that he's keeping his options open. I get it. Throughout the dating process, I want you to keep your options open. I want you to be exploring other situations as well. But when you are a high-value woman, when you're dating as a high-value woman, getting out there and making sure that you're following the little love steps, talking to lots of different guys, that the guys that are talking to you are not pulling away. They're actually leaning in and pursuing you. I want you to be the one who are keeping your options open. I want them to be fighting for your energy, for your attention. And that is because you are the prize. You are that feminine woman that deserves a man to be pursuing you. All right. And when you're dating a guy who's like, I'm not really sure yet. I want to explore other options. I want to see what else is out there. No, not going to work. Not going to work. I know it's a little hypocritical, but hey, that's how we date, and that's how it works, and that's how our strategies work so effectively. Number 16 is that he's just not over you yet. Maybe he keeps coming back into your life because you weren't necessarily interested in a relationship with him, or you weren't showing much interest in him, but he keeps coming back because he's just not over you, and he wants more from you. And maybe you're not ready. But again, when we create what we call a love vision, that's what we call little love step number 2 as part of our little love steps, we need to get crystal clear about the man and relationship we really want. And when we get to a point when we realize that a man is not the right person for us, we need to actually walk away from that person. Even if he keeps coming back into our life, even if he is the most handsome, charismatic, interesting guy in the world, if he doesn't meet your basic needs in a relationship, we're not going to continue exploring that situation. And then finally, number 17, I'm going to leave this on a happy note. Why it is that he keeps coming back, even though he keeps pulling away, is that he does genuinely miss you. And that can happen sometimes. And relationships can sometimes get a little bit complicated. And at this moment, if a man keeps coming back into your life and he shows a lot of interest, then it's time to have an adult relationship conversation that says, dude, what is the deal? And you can use very different verbiage for that. But it basically sounds something like, hey, look, I'm at a stage in my life where I'm looking for something real. And I get the sense that you keep coming back in and out of my life. And I get the sense that you're not really sure what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you need. So I just wanted to kind of open up this conversation and get a sense from you as to what it is that you're looking for. And sometimes that conversation can give you that clarity that you really need. And other times it'll create even more confusion. When it creates confusion, we continue to walk on. When it creates clarity, then hey, that allows us to open up the dialogue further. So with that said, what do you do when he keeps coming back? Even if he's not necessarily into you, or if he's into you? Well, these are 17 reasons why this happens. And all I ask of you to do as part of this process is to value your affection. Your affection that you give to men is valuable. Every piece of energy you put into a person, it matters. And when you waste it on the wrong guy, that is an amount of energy, even if it's a little bit of energy, that is energy you could have put elsewhere. So protect that at all costs and be intentional about your love life. So if you come out of this video right now, I want to hear from you in the comments and let me know if maybe it's time to actually walk away from this man and stay disciplined, or maybe it's time to lean into him and have that open dialogue. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and love to hear what you think about this video, because I just had a little bit of fun tonight, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.